In video number 18, we're going to talk about article titles. Now, the article title is the most important part of the article. That's because whether the reader finds your article on a search engine like Google or on the article directory itself, the title is the first thing they'll see. If it doesn't capture their attention, they're not going to open and read it. And if they don't read it, they'll never get to your resource box, which is where they decide to click to your own site. So in this video, I'm going to go over some types of titles you can use, so I suggest you get out your pencils and start taking notes. The first is the how-to article. This is kind of an informative article, and you're going to do things like how to build a website or how to train your dog, and you'll give the reader some useful information on how to do something. The next is the numbered sequence, and this is where you give a number and then provide the information in a numbered form. So the top 5 ways to build your website, or 3 ways to train your dog, and then you'll have 3 ways to train your dog in the article. The how-to and the numbered sequence tend to be news kind of articles. The next few are copywriting kind of articles, and they entice the reader in a different way than a news article would. For instance, we have the hidden secrets one, like hidden secrets of the top webmasters or little known secrets to train your dog quickly. A variation of this is the shock and awe title, what they will never tell you about building websites, or why veterinarians won't tell you the quickest way to train your dog. Do you know what I know? Watch out for these pitfalls in building your website, or expert reveals the quickest way to train your dog. Then there's the in-your-face title. Stop wasting your time with Dreamweaver and use X-Site Pro instead. Or, you're never going to train your dog until you master these 3 steps. Finally, there's the WTF, the what the, and these can come from the odd news section of a news site. And they're things that you can't help but read. Something like buried infant rises from the dead. I mean, you've got to know what's going on with that story. Or angry woman uses dead puppy as weapon. Or 2-inch tree grows in guy's lung. I mean, really, how can you not read those stories? And if you can come up with a WTF headline, you're going to get a lot of click-throughs to your article. Now let's talk a little bit about keyword choice in writing titles. If you can put the keyword at the very beginning of the title, that's best. And one way I do this is to use the keyword dash title method. So let's say my keyword is dog training. One of the things you can do is say dog training dash 5 ways to train your dog. Now each ezine article title must be unique, and that's because the title becomes part of the actual URL, which helps a lot for SEO purposes. And so if somebody else has already used your title, you are going to have to modify it some. And another thing you should know is that you can't use the keyword twice in the same article. For instance, you can't say dog training, how to go about dog training. And I want to point this out not just because it's a rule, but also because it's an example of dead information. What I mean by this is somebody discovered that if you use the keyword twice in a title, it would help their SEO and they would get higher rankings within Google. And so they started spreading the information that this was something really useful to do, and people jumped on the bandwagon. Well, ezine Articles decided that this wasn't delivering the reader experience that they wanted, and so they banned it. But if you go out and you read some article marketing books, they still recommend this technique. Sometimes they're older books, and sometimes the people just don't know better. And so it's very important to stay up to date on the most current conditions on the terms of service of ezine Articles and the other directories, and not use dead information, or else you won't get your articles passed. And that's another reason to continue to subscribe to ezine Articles newsletter, because they'll keep you up to date on things like this. Finally, A standalone keyword is better for SEO purposes than one with a dash after it or a longer phrase. So if you find a keyword that has never been used as a headline by itself, go ahead and use it alone. Remember that an article must deliver on its promise, and there's two reasons for this. First of all, if the article directory is monitored by editors, which Easy an Article is, then the editors are going to insist that it delivers on the promise. But even more importantly than that, your article must pass muster with your readers. If it doesn't, then they're not going to trust you enough to click on your resource box. And remember, you're not just writing articles to write articles. Ultimately, you're writing articles to get people to click on the link in your resource box in order to sell things from your main page.